It's good to be here.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hudson.
Thank you very much.
Hello there. Thank you for meeting us for the third time in a row.
No problem at all.
You're welcome. I hope you had a very good business relationship. How's your business ever since we met?
It's going well. We're continuing to move forward. We picked up a new client last week, so we're quite excited. We're developing new products with them, and so that's going. Really excited about that.
What about, have you confirmed our transfer?
Yes,
okay?
I saw that, so thank you for that. It's now gone through, so it's a big relief for the finance director.
Okay. Our supply chain manager also contacted Tom. Have you received any feedback from Tom?
Yes, I've spoken to Tom. He's had a couple of conversations with your supply chain manager, so so far he hasn't come to me moaning this week, so that's a good sign if he's not knocking on my door
Definitely.
so it's freeing up some of my time, so that's hopefully we can keep that momentum going.
So that's a very good news. Do you agree to that?
Yes.
Okay. I think the last time we introduced a topic, but before we go on, do you still have any concerns that you need us to look at? Otherwise, we'll move straight into that topic.
Yes. I just wanted to whether you mentioned last time that you were hoping to triple your business in 5 years' time over the next 5 years. I just wondered whether you had any more specific figures for those that I could factor into our planning.
Okay, do you have any news?
Yes.
Or we still have to wait?
I have the Malcolm is about to sign off on the figures from the different marketing departments. So I could share that with you next week when it's signed.
Okay.
That will be more solid.
At least then we can let our planners know, and that they can build that into their forecasting tools, which will be very helpful.
Exactly. Since also we intend to go into a strategic partnership with you with the new innovative cartons.
Yes.
Yes, that will be very, very useful to send you the demand.
Okay. No, we can certainly do that.
Okay, I'll note that down and I'll let you have it.
I'll let Mr. Kluche start on the other side, so he will start and then we'll move on.
Yes, Mr. Hudson, we have received your request for price increases. Can you take us a little bit through your price breakdown so that we can all analyze and see how the situation is?
Certainly. What we've done is, and we've done over the last few years, is that we've looked at the price of the fibreboard, that is the main component of our packaging. And what we do, we obviously link the price that we pass on to yourselves to the increase in the fibreboard cost. So we've done that, as you know, we've done that on odd occasions. We don't like doing it, but we've had to do it on a number of occasions over the past 8 years, and that's worked well for all concerned.
So do I take it that the main factor for your cost increase coming from the fiber boards?
It is.
Thank you very much.
We are.
But what percentage?
Well, the fibreboard costs. I'll just get my figures for you. They've risen at about 16% over the last 12 months. So that's a significant increase into our fibreboard costs. Obviously, given it's the largest part of our costs, some of that we've had to pass on, unfortunately.
What's driving that increase? Is it less land to farm, or what's happening?
Well, it's partly that. It's also the recycling legislations. So that we had to change. Our manufacturers had to change the type of fibre that they use. They've had to source it more from sustainable sources. So that's had an impact. We have seen seasonal fluctuations, but generally, because we've seen them increase over the last few years, it's mainly down to environmental issues and organisations trying to supply with comply with recycling legislation that's coming through,
Okay.
which has meant that they've had to use different suppliers.
So with our current specification, which percentage do you recycle and which percentage is virgin fiberboards?
But at the moment, with the new pricing, we're getting up to 80% of what we're using is recycled material now.
Mm-hmm.
So we're really increasing the value of the recycled material. There's an element of the packaging, which is the waterproof membrane, which is not recyclable, but the vast majority now, 80% of the content is using recycled material, which is slightly more expensive than providing the raw material itself.
So if we were to increase that 80%, you think it could have an impact on the price?
We could reverse the trend, but all the evidence is that we're moving towards it becoming increasingly costly, because the environmental issues are that we need to use more and more of the more expensive recycled material, not less and less. So we have done some figures, but only a proportion of our that increase only affects about 53% of our overall.
Mr. Houston, as you are aware, we have had a couple of price increases this year.
Yes.
We increased the price 7 months ago. We were just wondering whether you could not absorb this increase until later in the year. Because the reason is that we are overstretched, and we wish we could have some.
And just to hold it up for 2 months, something like that.
No, we hold it up to the end of this contract, and then when we are reviewing the contract, we look at the changes.
Well, that's something that's interesting, actually, because we don't really have a formal agreement in place. 8 years ago, we built it up with you. Would you be interested in signing a formal agreement that might?
We have an MOA already in place, so we can still use the MOA.
And what about?
Probably when we are reviewing the MOA, we can look at a formal agreement, and then we can move on. Just as I said, by then, management would have come up with the new innovations and everything, the volumes, and then we'll look at it in totality, and then we can have a formal contract. But for now, we'll still use the MOA, and then we'll move forward.
And in terms of your records, when do you think this MOA expires, and would you be willing to extend it for us?
2013, January.
Would you be willing to extend it to 2015?
Well, we'll prefer to do a 1.5 year increase contract.
So June 2015.
Yes.
Excellent, thank you for that. That would help me, because it gives me confidence to be able to plan and to budget. So I'll get our guys to redraft the agreement up to June 2015.
So it means we agree that the current increase will not take effect until we start signing.
No, I think what we agreed was that we will extend, the current increase will take effect at the end of this contract, so which at the moment, as it stood, is to the end of this year.
Yeah.
But the overarching contract will then carry on for another 18 months after that.
Okay.
Mr. Hudson, we want to agree that at the end of this contract, or this current MOA, then we'll look at if there are any price increases, if there's any price increase. Not that we are agreeing that this particular proposal will take effect in January. But in January, we'll look at it whether if we have to really increase. That's what we are asking for.
In effect, what my colleague is saying is that we want to take detailed consideration into some of the scrap, the board that goes into scrap, because our sizes are now smaller, and you're having a lot of scrap. The scrap has a resale value.
It does.
Which must impact on the prices we buy the finished products from your factory.
Okay.
And we need to take that into consideration. That's okay for you?
I'm not sure I understand what you're proposing to do with your scrap.
Yeah, from the proposal you sent to us, we know that the scrap board is worth 150 euro per ton.
Yes.
We want that to be taken into consideration when we are considering the next price increases. We have agreed already here that the price increase is not going to take effect now until the new contract ends at the end of 2012. And when we are drafting a new contract for 2013 January, which we want to take 1.5 years, then we take that into consideration as well in negotiating. Now, sorry.
So you want us to link, when we have our discussions in next January 2013, you want us to link any of those discussions to the price of scrap?
Exactly.
Everything. So when you're giving us a total cost, everything, you factor in everything. Then we will sit down, then we look at
So that's one of the things we want to look at in 2013 January. Now that we have agreed that price increases are not going to take effect from 2012. But the second thing we want to look out for, which we want you to really look at for us, is to look at your overheads and labor. The reason why we want to look at that is that, you know, from the statements you made to us, we are the third largest suppliers to you. It means you have other bigger people, other bigger companies who are buying from you. And we believe that we can all benefit from economies of scale to reduce labor and overheads.
Your numbers are not, I'm not sure where this economies of scale is going to come from, because your numbers aren't increasing for at least the next 2 years. There's 75 million next year. So where are these economies of scale coming from? That I'm going to make labour cost savings?
Yes, but we are explaining from the fact that we are your second largest, we are the third largest buyer from you. And then also, so if you put all this together, if you can rework in your this labor from these other two components into economies of scale, then labor costs can be looked at again. Most especially when we are considering a 1.5 year contract. So it means you're going to have a labor volume, a larger volume, and also an assured production schedule, and so you can plan more effectively for your labor use.
If we can agree a 2-year contract rather than 18 months, I will shoulder the burden of any labour increases.
Then that might, if we could also have a protected patent with the innovated material that we are thinking of, that can be discussed.
Okay, so we develop something specifically between us where you own the patent for something that we supply.
And then we could discuss 2 years or probably even more.
We haven't done that before with any of our other suppliers where so what would happen? We would produce it under license to you?
Yes, we develop together. We pitch in resources and technology and all that. We work together. We have a protected patent for a number of years. That means it protects us from our competitors getting the same material.
Type of packaging?
Yes, until we feel that we have enough payback from, and then.
So you help us develop, I've understood what you're suggesting.
Yes.
You help us to develop an innovative type of packaging which is sufficiently different to qualify for a patent, and that you keep the license to that, so that for every product that's sold, or every time it's used, we potentially have to provide you with a fee.
Yes, and it's only for us, for nobody else, until the length of that contract or the length of the patent is over.
Okay, I'm nervous about the word patent, but what I can do is we can work together and deal on an exclusive arrangement. So we can work together on producing something, and I can give you exclusive access to that. So it would need to be patented, but I'm nervous about fees going on. So maybe we could look at providing a jointly held patent between the two of us, So there are no fees transferring, but it protects you from other competitors using the same packaging, but without any cost. And if you were agreeable to that, if I would agree to that, then we could look at.
Well, this is under discussion. We could have our legal teams look into a better deal that works two ways. We wouldn't need to have any. We might not need to have any cost exchange between you and us. We could just have the exclusivity for as long as decided on, and then.
I can see that has value to you. Okay, if I agree to some sort of legal protection so that we only supply that packaging to you, would you look at providing me with a clause? We're starting to bring in a clause in our contracts which is a late payment penalty clause. So we'd be happy to get our legal team to look on protecting the new style packaging for your exclusive use. If you to look at providing in a clause that if in the future you were late with the payments, that there would be a clause that would protect me.
Sorry, but Mr. Houston, we agreed to do this patent based on the fact that we want to give a
2-year contract.
A 2-year contract. So perhaps you are asking more than what the scope of which we have already agreed on.
But I think I can see that it's huge value to you to have a unique packaging, because it means that your product will stand out. It'll be better protected than everybody else. So I'm sure you'll agree that a 2-year contract and some financial protection, because I'm sure you're not planning to be late on any of your payments.
Yeah, but
it just gives us the security that if you were to be late, we have some protection for our finance people.
That's a good point you are raising, but the point here is that security for payment and patent are not exactly linked. We were linking patent to volume increase and then the time period.
And especially with the relationship we have with you, 8 years and running, the patent is not only for 2 years. We could
be extended.
We're looking at a long and lasting, sustainable business relationship with you with guaranteed volumes. So I don't really think we should throw in the payment terms. We are paying you on time now, especially with our new system, and we don't see paying you late.
Okay, and I must confess, I've noticed that the emails are coming through from your finance team on a regular basis, just to give us an update and keep us appraised. So I think it's possibly something that we might need to review when we talk in January in terms of whether there's been any reoccurrence of those finance difficulties. So I'll get our legal team to contact your legal team about setting up some protection for your exclusive use of the packaging.
Now, one aspect we want to agree, now that we want a larger volume, assuming we have a